Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind, Season 3, cast interviews. Let's watch.
The reunion sorry, forget the reunion, about the stag night, the bachelor party. Matt had said, yeah, they did go out afterwards. Like the camera crew was even with them, so it was after filming. He said that they went to like loads of bars, so effectively saying that Cole was lying.
Okay, so Anthony Gillette is talking, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, I'm not sure, that I think Brennan, during the Alexa video, I believe confirmed, I'm not sure, that Cole did in fact go out after the bachelor party, which would lend credence to the claim that Zanab made that he went out and got someone's phone number. I thought it was a kiss, but maybe it's just a phone number. So they're going into that topic.
Wait, so Cole was lying?
Well, Cole said that they didn't go out and that they were only at bars. Like it was just like, yeah.
Yeah, they definitely went out. So like him saying that they didn't go out, that's a lie. But right, they went out.
Yeah, I mean, I got in an Uber.
Yeah, Matt left. Yeah, Matt's like, don't lump me in this. But he said, yeah, they went out, but he got in an Uber home.
I had cow feces all over me, so I wanted to go take a shower.
Yeah, he said he went to take a shower and go home. He had cow shit all over him.
Okay, so it sounds like Matt, was he confirming? I mean, it doesn't really matter, but it is interesting to think about, right? If Cole was lying about that, that is interesting. And I've talked about that before in terms of what my speculations would be about that either direction. I think I landed on the hypothesis, and I don't know, that he did in fact go out after the bachelor party. He did in fact meet someone and get her phone number, and then felt bad or worried that Zanab would hear about it. He tells Zanab about it when he gets home. Maybe he's also intoxicated. And remember, at that point, according to Cole, which sounds believable to me, the night before, Cole had told Zanab that he didn't want to marry her. Now, according to Cole, he did say that he planned on dating her after the show, so that doesn't necessarily mean that the relationship is over, right? But yeah, I mean, I could absolutely see a scenario where Cole was pretty drunk and wanted to keep going and considered himself to be a single guy, or at least kind of single, and, wanted to see if he could, or did like, or even liked someone, right? And wanted to hit on someone, who knows? And then came home, felt bad, and in his normal, honest way, tells Zanab about it. And then later on, in the interim, in the year and a half in between the show and when they did the reunion, he decided he didn't want to reveal that, or he wanted to lie about it because it makes him look pretty bad. And so he keeps lying about it, even though a lot of people, including I think the other men, are saying that, yes, Cole did go out afterwards. Because if Cole said, yeah, I did go out, but I didn't get someone's phone number, that'd be one thing. But he's saying he didn't go out at all afterwards, which, and again, it doesn't really matter. As a therapist, I'm not that interested in all those details. But as a citizen, it is interesting, because if he is in fact lying about it, it kind of shifts things, or it might significantly shift things, right? In terms of what really happened behind the scenes, because there's all these claims from everyone that behind the scenes Cole was being very, very, I don't know what word to put to it, but mean and abusive, that's the word I'd put to it, body shaming and hurtful on purpose. And if that's true, then that really changes the picture, right? It really changes the whole narrative. It really starts to justify as to why Zanab would be the way that she was and say the things that she did and say what she said at the altar. It completely switches everything on its head, right? If Cole did a bunch of horrific things, then what Zanab did was justice. But if not, then what Zanab did was not justice, was an injustice.
But no, yeah, Cole definitely went out. He actually got a number. I don't know if anyone has saw that, but everyone's kind of just like denying, I guess, but they definitely went out.
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like a weird thing for Zay to lie about in that moment. I was like, of all the things to lie about, that particular.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. That of all the things that Zanab would make up, it just seems like a strange thing to make up. And Zenib doesn't have a pattern of just making things up. She has a pattern of misinterpreting actual things that happen, right? Things would happen and she would encode the memory verbatim accurately, but her interpretation of what it meant would be altered seemingly. So it'd be hard to imagine that something factually happened along those lines and she distorted it to what the story that she says, right? I don't know. What do you think?
See, guys, nothing untoward about the ring. It's just on the shelf.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the reunion and then we can wrap up. You had already addressed, like people are saying that you felt uncomfortable, you looked uncomfortable at the reunion. You have already addressed this. What you actually said was, going into the reunion, I was not in a good headspace as I was dealing with.
Okay, so I believe what they're getting into now is the way she came across at the reunion. It looked like she was very unhappy. Of course, everyone distorts what they're seeing and projects their own ideas onto it, thinking that she's trapped in a marriage that is abusive because that was what the edit basically emphasized. And so, she addressed that, and he's reading how she addressed it online.
A lot of anxiety due to the negative commentary I had endured during the first few episodes. While I knew what I had signed up for, at that point I was not prepared for the gravity of strangers critiquing my profession that I'm incredibly proud of, my character, and tearing down my body physical traits. How is your...
Right, that makes sense. So in the interim of the show airing, and then, because I think they do the reunion a little bit as the show is airing, I'm not sure. And at that point, she had already incurred a lot of the online bullying. And so she goes on the reunion, she's just like, oh God, are people going to attack? I could absolutely see that. I could also see it being accurate, or even additionally accurate in terms of what people's assumptions were about it. Let's see what she says.
It's fine now.
I'm so much better. Like, it just, thank you. I just, it was the first couple of episodes where I was seeing these comments. I'm literally, I know this is going to sound cringe to say, but I am like the nicest person you'll ever meet. And to see people say these such harsh things about me and just awful, it really got to me. Like, I was crying constantly at dance, at work. I was just not in a good headspace, like I said.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate. I've been podcasting for over 14 years, and people will say some extremely hurtful things. And as an older person and a therapist who's been through a lot of therapy, I can confidently say that I have a lot of confidence, and I know who I am. And when people think erroneous things about me, I have enough self to be able to combat that. But when so many things are being said, especially when, for me, when I'm putting out content, I'm trying to help people, I'm trying to please people, and people are being upsettingly mean at times. And if you're Colleen, you're just like, I just went on a reality TV show. I thought people might like me or at least be indifferent to me. I didn't know that people would attack me. It's really hard to deal with. And people who say like, well, you just need to have a thick skin, people who say that have not experienced what Colleen has been through. There's no amount of thick skin that you could have that can withstand the onslaught of that kind of bullying. It's like talking to a 10-year-old in school who's being bullied verbally and telling the 10-year-old, well, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. Like, I think everyone understands it. No one can do that. And we're not, just because we cross a threshold into adulthood at 18 doesn't mean we suddenly gain this superhuman ability to withstand that kind of onslaught of verbal bullying. Like, no one can withstand that. So she's saying that her demeanor on the reunion was a reflection of that, which makes total sense. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Let's talk about empowerment. When we feel empowered, we recognize our strengths. When we feel empowered and we experience adversity, we're more likely to see it as a welcome challenge rather than an overwhelming obstacle. And since we're social creatures, we often need help from others to feel empowered at times. We might need others to give us perspective. We might need others to recognize how we might be able to overcome the obstacle. And sometimes the people around us they're really not that much help. I've been there before. When I went to therapy for the first time when I was 19 years old, it was primarily because none of my friends were very helpful in this area. Sometimes it's really great to talk with a therapist when you want to feel more empowered. Well, that's where BetterHelp comes in. BetterHelp is convenient and flexible and affordable. If you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/Kirk today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kirk.
And the comments that really got to me were also, I know that I shouldn't give it light, but it just stung. Oh, she's too fat to be a ballet dancer, and just going in on my weight. And, you know, it just baffled me that all these people want like body positivity and everything, but those are the same people that were tearing down my body. It was just really disgusting to see.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Just massive amounts of hypocrisy. People will attack one person because they'll attack Cole, for example, for body shaming, and then they'll body shame Colleen. They don't follow their own principles. They just want to attack. And so they will attack however they can, however they feel that they can. And it's pretty awful. And in the reality TV sphere, I see a fair amount of that. And it's not okay. People might think, well, it's just one person on the internet. No. These movements, these cultural ideas, these biases, these prejudices, they have a culture and they have power because people participate in it and they get away with it. And it's not okay. It's not okay to bully her. I'm trying to think of any reason why anyone would feel anger at Colleen. Like, or judgmental. I mean, judgmental, what are you going to do? But would feel just in attacking her. I'm just trying to think of any possible justifiable reason for attacking her. And I can't think of any. I can't think of any reason why anyone would attack her for anything. People are awful. People are good, but hurt people.
And you can't build thick skin in a day. I didn't have thick skin, but now I'm actually really surprised with myself. I keep my comments on, but I don't look at the comments. It's just the same thing over.
Yeah, good. Good for her. Just don't read it. Just don't read it.
I couldn't talk. Like, I felt like anything that I said, I would be criticized for. I cry a lot. That's just my go-to emotion. And I felt like I couldn't cry. So when you see me like holding in tears, I'm thinking of the comments saying, oh, here we go again with tears. You know, I didn't want to cry. So during that entire filming of the reunion, I'm cutting off Matt's circulation. I'm holding onto his hand so tight so that I don't like have a panic attack on camera.
Yeah. And also when they're on the reality TV show portion, you know, there's a lot of socializing and they're all in it together, but I'm guessing it feels very different when they're doing the reunion because they're in a TV studio, there's all these cameras and producers and lighting, and you're on stage. And so it would be a very different emotional space. And so, yeah, it makes total sense that her discomfort would be a reflection of that.
And, you know, he was such an angel, honestly. I could see like he was getting scared, and he was like, being called those things is one of the worst things that you can call someone. And especially like for your reputation, like thousands of people saying that about you, he tried his best to not let this affect my birthday. So I just remember we went to dinner.
Yeah, I just think about that. If it's true that he's not abusive at all, and they're celebrating her birthday, and all this is coming out, and just imagine, you know, millions of people, or at least thousands of people are, and it's one thing if you're saying things like, I think maybe he might be abusive, or I think maybe this is happening, or I don't know, it looks kind of, that's not the way people talk. People are like, he is an abusive monster. Colleen is an idiot for being with him. Look at the way he controls her. He's a dominant perpetrator of domestic violence. You know, just really self-assured statements of ridiculousness. Could it be true? Sure. They could all be abusing each other. They could all be not. We don't know. We don't have data along those lines. But so I'm not saying it's not happening, but to say it's definitely happening is really irresponsible and immature, because if it's just one voice among millions, but if there are tens of thousands of people saying something like she's saying, it can ruin your career. It can ruin your reputation. It can ruin your relationships. People start believing that stuff. People can get fired because people are saying stuff like that about them. Yeah, and so she's saying that he was trying to be put together for her birthday, but he was really scared. She said that word, he was scared, and that would be the feeling, that the fear of like, oh my God, what is happening? What's going to happen to me? Is someone going to come get me? Are the police going to get called? Am I going to get fired? Is everyone going to hate me? My family, my friends? Like, what's going to happen to me because all these people are saying things? So yeah, I mean, if that's true, that is messed up that people would do that to him without knowing.
All of that, like as soon as the cameras left, it was like a weight was lifted off of our shoulders. And it's crazy. He's one of the calmest people that I know. The first thing that comes out of his mouth now, if we ever come into any sort of disagreement, he's like, how do we compromise on this? Like, he's very much like, doesn't want conflict, doesn't want any of that.
Okay, that sounds believable. She's saying that whenever they get into a conflict, he's the first person to say, how do we compromise on this? He's even afraid of conflict. Okay, yeah, I have no reason to not believe that. It sounds believable to me. It doesn't mean that something isn't happening, because if something was happening, it wouldn't likely be talked about, of course. But I don't know, that sounds believable. What do you think?
Just quickly, talking about these other things that Cole had said, things that you had heard, can you tell us like some of the things that you had heard him say that we didn't see?
Okay, this is similar to the question that he asked, that Anthony asked of Alexa, because there was this claim from the women. I seem to remember that they were saying, no, behind the scenes we saw some things that would corroborate what Zanab is saying. And Alexa just declined to answer this question when asked by Anthony, and now he's asking Colleen, so we'll see what she says.
I've heard that, again, this is not me trying to drag him or anything. I just heard that he said she was the biggest girl he's ever been with. And then...
Okay, so she heard that he said that. So it's not corroborating evidence. I'm guessing that Zanab told Colleen that that's what he said. Might he have said that? Yeah, I mean, it fits with some of the things that we saw on camera. It certainly could be spun in a way that would be in line with the way things were spun in other... But anyway, let's see here what else she says.
That's pretty much like the other comment that I heard. I'm trying to remember. I just remember that he was always making her feel insecure for her weight and for her ethnicity, like his family not meeting her and like refusing to even FaceTime. Like, obviously that gets to someone.
All right, so no other evidence. I mean, maybe things happened and it was a year and a half ago and she doesn't remember, but she seems to be repeating things that have already been established that were said, so I don't think we're hearing anything new.
So that was the only really comment that I knew of. Sorry.
Do you think his family didn't meet her because her name was Zanab?
I don't know. I don't want to put I don't want to talk. I don't know. From my own perspective, I think that there was a lot going on because my family didn't want to be a part of the show.
All right, well, that is it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.